him from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told him. It's the show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Now here's your host, Stephen Spargo.
Last week's show with Diddy Mo Dave definitely elicited a great response. Diddy Mo told me that he got a number of comments and a little bit of feedback about how great it was to hear someone that was passionate about the environment. I suppose the big thing about that is that's what we're all about. People that are passionate about what they do, and particularly hunting in this case. So what I've done is I've organised an interview with someone who's incredibly passionate about what they do. Joined on the phone with Matt Willis, the host of Bowhunting, No Season, No Limits. It's a DVD about to come out very soon. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, very good, thanks, Stephen.
Now, first of all, the first thing I need to ask you is, who are you? What's your background?
Well, mate, basically I'm a forestry contractor here in Blenheim, New Zealand, and I've done forestry for quite some time, most of my life, really. Been in Blenheim all of my life, born and bred. And in the mighty South Island.
Nothing wrong with that?
No, there's not, mate. No, we're very happy down here, all right. But, yeah, effectively, on my mother's side of my family, they're rural people, and so we always got to get out on the farm and feed the animals when we were kids and jump on the back of the hay trailer and all that sort of stuff. And my uncle, he got me into duck shooting, rabbit shooting, all that sort of stuff as a real young fella. And even though we lived in town, I was just mad keen on reading anything I could on New Zealand deer stalking, pig hunting, anything that was in the library at school. I just devoured it, really. It was great.
Now, going into that, you're also the editor of New Zealand's premier pig hunting magazine, Hooked on Boars.
Yeah, that sort of evolved over the years. I initially actually started the first New Zealand Bowhunter magazine that we put out on the shelves. And unfortunately in New Zealand, bowhunting is still a growing sport. The magazine didn't quite fly. The concept worked well, was well received. I had some of the most prominent bowhunters in New Zealand as columnists writing for me and things like that. And it was really great. The problem was there wasn't enough bow hunters then in the country. The sport's certainly on a growth spurt now, without a doubt, but, it's a minority sport in New Zealand, unfortunately. And I effectively transferred what I was doing there, the format of the magazine, into my second love, which is pig hunting, and just started a New Zealand pig hunting magazine as in Hooked on Boars.
And it's a great magazine too.
Well, it's been very well received. We're in our 6th year with it now. And it just sort of seems to keep growing, and we just have amazing contact with the readership. And my wife, Lisa, she's right into the Facebook side of things and all of that real social media stuff, and she's got an incredible following. We've got 8,000 members on our Facebook page and things like that, which is it's just awesome. You're just in direct contact with your readership all the time. It's great. Oh,
and that's something I like about this show as well. Anything we say or do that people aren't happy with, or on the flip side of that, are very happy with, straight away, feedback, and you can react to it. Now,
exactly. Yeah, we can get photos. People can upload their photos to the Facebook page from a pig hunt they went on the Saturday, say, and if it just happens to be at the right time of me going to print with the magazine, that photo can be in print, in a magazine, on the shelves throughout New Zealand a week later.
That's great. Now, going forward, now I'm not a bow hunter, so I need to make that very clear right now. It's something that's always interested me. So why bow hunting?
Well, it is an intriguing sort of a sport. What happened, I was so mad keen to, get out into rural New Zealand and do some hunting. But, of course, you couldn't get a gun licence until you were 16. Yeah. So mates and I, every day after school, would go down the riverbank with, homemade bows and just from bits of willow and bamboo arrows and all that sort of real, New Zealand kid stuff, and chase things around. As we got a little bit older, we ended up with fiberglass bows and carbon arrows and bits and pieces, anything we could sort of scrounge up to fling an arrow at rabbits and, anything really. So as soon as I turned 16, of course, like most Kiwi kids, it's down to the old cop shop and get a firearms licence, and away you can go. And I spent years, again, like most New Zealand hunters, chasing everything with a gun, from rabbits and hares to tahr with a gun. But after a while, you can sort of get pretty proficient with it and enjoy it. But in my forestry business, I employed a guy, Darren Swan, who is the brother of Kim Swan, who's a pretty popular author in New Zealand. She's written several books on pig hunting and bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Darren came along, and man, he was just infectious. And his bow hunting, he was into bow hunting like there's no tomorrow. And I just thought, wow, this looks really cool. I mean, it had been probably 10 years since I'd been running around trying to shoot rabbits down the riverbank with an old fiberglass recurve bow. So I just said to him, look, I had a lot of trouble then trying to hit things. I was hopeless with it. I had no sights. You had to shoot it instinctively, and I just couldn't hit a thing. And I told him all about this, and he said, I can fix that. I can get you this, and I can get you that, and we'll put a sight on it, and we'll do this, we'll do that. And I just said, look, mate, go for it, and let's try this again. So here I was 10 years later, getting into a new sport again, still hunting, but now I was bow hunting. And I tell you, when the gear arrived, he set it up. I had a compound bow, alloy arrows, all sorts of flash sort of whiz-bang things. And within half a dozen shots, I could hit a matchbox at 20 metres with this new bow and arrow setup. And all of a sudden, it all sort of clicked. Well, if I could go out and actually hit what I was aiming at, man, this bow hunting could be a good thing. And we just went for it. And I just absolutely soaked it all up and went after everything again. What happens then is a rabbit becomes a challenge. And a goat, which with a gun, you just stop shooting goats after a while and get on to bigger stuff. But with a bow, a goat all of a sudden becomes a challenge again. So a goat's a challenge. Then a yearling deer is a challenge, a massive challenge to get a deer with a bow. So then a stag becomes an even bigger challenge, and a really big stag, and then chamois and tahr and all the different deer species. The whole thing was an amazing challenge. It was just something else.
Now, this is a bit of an interesting analogy. From where I sit, bow hunting has always seemed like that next level. It isn't for people that can't get firearms licenses. I've heard that bantered around. It seems to be guys that were definitely confident and competent hunters that want to take it to the next level. And I kind of, in my mind, relate it to fly fishing. It's more about where you are and who you're with and the skill of doing it, opposed to getting everything in sight.
Yes, it is, exactly. I mean, a slogan we used to have on the magazine was bow hunting, putting the hunt back into hunting. And that's the guts of it, really. It's a challenge you set yourself. You certainly don't go out there in New Zealand bow hunting to fill the freezer. Yeah. It's the challenge of being close to animals and pitting your skills against the animals. I mean, you have to get right inside their comfort zone. And believe me, a wily seeker stag, sneaking up on him outside of the rut is really, really hard going.
I bet.
Same with tahr. You're up on the side of Mount Cook type of thing, right out in the open. And that's a common misconception of people thinking that bows are only any good in the bush where you're going to see something close. Many tahr have been shot in New Zealand with bows and arrows. Same with chamois. It's the challenge. You have to. It's just an unbelievable challenge and amazingly satisfying when you get an animal with a bow. You've
just dispelled one myth for me. I had this vision, and I'm now realised I'm completely wrong, of bow hunters kind of bush stalking for some reason. So you're actually doing this out in the open, trying to get close to the animal, similar to the way you might hunt deer on the edge of grass areas. Is that?
Absolutely, and you can do it from you can do the whole spectrum of hunting with the bow. So you can be bush stalking on Stewart Island for the wily white-tailed deer, right through to hunting on the tops for tahr, to anything like that, open passet country, farmland, everything like that. It's you against the animal, and the terrain dictates how you're going to hunt it. Bush stalking is more about your typical stalking through the bush with the wind in your face and being really, really quiet and moving slow and hoping to sort of come across something. Whereas in the open, you can watch an animal from a distance and plan your stalk and keep eyes on it and basically just try to work the wind and get yourself within range. But they're two different things, but it's all bow hunting, and it's a real skill set that a lot of New Zealand hunters have. And I think we have an advantage over international hunters and things, because in New Zealand we grew up being able to do this all the time, anytime we like. And the level of skill, I believe, in the top bow hunters in New Zealand is phenomenal.
Just an interesting point is I was watching Clyde Graff's DVD not that long ago, and he was sitting just in front of an animal talking away, and I was about to say, gosh, I never get that close to them, when he said, I bet you're thinking right now you never get close to these animals, because by now you would have shot it. So it's just, I suppose, is it maybe not as hard as my brain tells me it might be?
Oh, it's hard. We'll blow that one out of the water.
Good on you.
It's definitely hard. I think it just depends how you go about your hunting. You definitely stalk. Clyde and that are very good stalkers, very good hunters. They hunted stags in the Uraweras in the bush country all their life. They know how to stalk game, and that would, if they got right into bow hunting, they'd be phenomenal bow hunters because of that reason.
Right.
It's very hard for someone to, if they're just used to maybe shooting things at 400 metres everywhere with a good rifle and stuff like that, to get the concept of, hey, we've got to stalk right into 25 yards or 25 metres of this animal, when, you know, they could quite confidently and very accurately knock it over at 250. Our start, when you're bow hunting, our hunt actually really starts inside 100 metres. So it's a different concept altogether.
Gee, so I suppose, listening to you now, I'm starting to hear things I didn't understand and didn't know about bow hunting. But if I wanted to get into it or give it a go, how would I go about that?
I think one of the best things, and certainly something that helped myself back in the days, was joining the New Zealand Bowhunters Society. It's very similar to the New Zealand Deer Stalkers Association.
Right.
Similar thing, it's a national body, but this one's just for bow hunters, and it's a lot smaller membership, obviously, but it's a national network of like-minded people. This is a fantastic, it really helped me. I love the meeting all these different people, and they hunted in different areas in New Zealand. They're very open to sharing hunts and things like that. Basically, they can just be Googled on, www New Zealand Bowhunters Society, and that would put you in touch with some really like-minded people. And it could be people, like for a young fella, there could be people in his area, in his local town that he doesn't even know, are really keen and really good bow hunters, who would more likely be more than happy to take a young fella along and help him out and show him the ropes. So
what I'll do is actually I'll put a link to that page on the comments section of this podcast. So if you scroll down a little bit further from the podcast, you'll see there's a couple of links there, and that'll be one of them.
That'll be one of them,
yeah. Now, one of the things I liked that we mentioned off air was that your whole family's involved.
Yes, it's one of those sort of things that I got into it very seriously, sort of from the mid-90s through till today, but about a decade from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. And it's just one of those things. It was, the kids loved it. I mean, our boys grew up seeing me, stalking around with a bow, going out hunting with a bow, and so they got right into it as they grew up, and I would take them out and they could, chase rabbits and things like that. And as they got older, it was amazing to see the progression. They'd go from rabbits to goats to deer to, our 17-year-old son at the moment, in fact, is off tar hunting in the Southern Alps next week with his bow, with a group of bow hunters. So it's a pretty neat progression. My wife even has taken up bow hunting of late. It's one of those, if you can't beat him, join him type of deals, really. And she's yet to kill anything with a bow, but she enjoys the whole concept of it, where an advantage with bow hunting is you can practice in the backyard.
Yeah. You
can pop a target up, fling as many arrows off as you like, and if you're in a city even, it wouldn't matter. Whereas, you can't do that with a gun, and it's just brilliant to be able to, enjoy it that way. And like I say, Lisa's really keen. She's had a few goes at red deer and that, and hopefully in the near future she'll get one.
Now, just on that note, you talked about your wife doing it. The New Zealand Women Hunters Facebook page is a phenomenal force online. I don't know if you've seen it, and there's a lot of women hunters out there. Is there many women bow hunters?
Yeah, there is actually.
Yeah.
There's several that spring to mind. We've got some here in Blenheim, indeed. Most of them are partners of pretty proficient bow hunters. And I would hazard a guess there'd be more than 100 in New Zealand, female bow hunters, more active than ever. And even in the general hunting scene, even through Hooked on Boars magazine, we notice there's a real trend towards young ladies and that getting out there and enjoying the outdoors and doing a bit of hunting.
And for that matter, if I was going to get into bow hunting, where does it take me?
Effectively, it'll just make you a better person. How's that?
I like that answer. But does it? I mean, can you travel? Have you done any bow hunting overseas? Is it? We've been pretty fortunate. I've been pretty fortunate when it comes to bow hunting and that. And again, like I say, it all started, and you get noticed and things like that through the New Zealand Bowhunter Society. They've been running for more than 50 years, and they have a record book set up as well, which is pretty extensive for all the species of animals and things. And I chased a few records here and there, and big boars were my sort of specialty. And you just get noticed a wee bit, and we managed to pick up a bit of sponsorship from Advanced Archery, which is a business run out of Auckland, run by Kevin and Carol Watson. And Carol's a mad keen bow hunter as well, so it's a pretty neat connection there. But anyway, as things progress through, I've been to Australia bow hunting. I've bow hunted boars over there on a trip where a guy invited us over to see his operation. He had a bow hunting only guided outfit over there, and he wanted me to have a look at it and see what I thought. That was a pretty amazing trip. A few mates and I went to Canada. Went to Canada a couple of times bow hunting. We went to bow hunt bears, and a mate Daryl and I were successful in getting a black bear each with a bow. Gee,
so that was pretty cool.
I can tell you right now, I'm seriously jealous. Every year I talk to my wife about hunting black bear. And every year she said, we're going to Canada, that's not what we're doing there. But I have to say, you've made me very, very jealous. I bet that was an amazing experience.
It was a really neat experience, and it all came about from some Canadians coming here to New Zealand, and they just wanted to get out and go bow hunting in New Zealand and have a look around, made contact with me. We went out, a group of mates and I went out with them, we took them around the place, and they just said, look, any time at all, if you make your way to Canada, we'll show you around our neck of the woods. Well, from a little old, bow hunter in New Zealand to be hunting black bears, it was pretty amazing stuff.
Actually,
these days... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, on that note, there's a whole lot of rules around black bear hunting, though, isn't there?
Well, there is, and I mean, you just got to go with whatever the conditions are at the time, just like in New Zealand with the duck hunting sort of thing. And here's a funny story about that, actually. You need a specific license in Canada to basically say you're a proficient hunter. And if you turn up there and just want to go hunting, you can't. You have to actually have gone through a course, and they run these hunter training courses over there, just to get, supposedly then, so you're at the right level to be hunting over there. But here's the funny thing. When we were hunting in Canada, the only license I required, and a Canadian mate asked us to get a duck hunting license from New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I got this duck hunting license from New Zealand, which was a proven license, you see, a government, supplied license, which proved I was a great duck hunter type of thing. Went over there, handed over to the wildlife agency over there, and that was enough for them to then give me a permit to go bear hunting with a bow. It was
fantastic. Amazing. That's a great tip. Thanks for that. I've made notes.
Well, it saved a four-day hassle to prove that we were a hunter. Wouldn't matter who you got a letter from, even from the Prime Minister saying you're a proficient hunter, wouldn't have mattered at all. You needed a license, and a duck hunting license was good enough. Crazy.
Okay. Now, you've started with one good story. You must have a few decent stories about bow hunting, even in New Zealand here.
Oh, yeah. Well, over the years, we've chased a lot of different animals, and I've certainly spent my time out on the hill with them and missed more opportunities at great animals than I care to remember. But a couple of things. A couple stand out. A really good red stag here in Marlborough. I saw in the velvet one time and watched him for a bit, and I thought, man, I'd love to have a go at that stag in the roar. And as it came round towards the roar, he sort of disappeared from the area he'd been feeding in. He was sort of in a whole big valley, but he disappeared out of that valley for the roar. And I just thought, oh no, and he'd obviously gone somewhere for where he normally heads off to in the roar and does his thing. And I looked around a few different places, stalked plenty of roaring stags in the area, but none of them were him. Anyway, after the roar, we were in the same area again, and I had my son with me then, Caden, who was then about 7 or 8. And we were looking over the valley early one morning, and there he was feeding up. So he'd come back after the roar, which red stags often do, and he was just quietly feeding away, a wee way away. And I parked Caden up in the grass and said, look, mate, I'm just going to go and stalk the stag. I've got to have a go at him. Been after him for so long, it's not funny, and there he is. Got over there and got in the bush, and he was feeding his way back towards the bush edge, and I snuck in through the bush and basically waited for him to come in. And before I knew it, really quietly, all of a sudden, he was right next to me in the bush and just moving his way past, and I actually managed to draw the bow and shoot him from, no more than 8 metres probably.
Gee. And
nailed him, and he ran back out into the open, and he was standing around there ready to sort of fall over and rushed out to the bush edge and just to get an eye on where he was perhaps going and that. And my son was standing up in the grass pointing over to where he was, and anyway, he just collapsed and died. And it was pretty neat. It was the biggest red stag I'd ever shot with a bow up to that point, and it was neat to share it with my son. He still remembers it. We've got some amazing photos. The antlers are just about taller than him, but it was just a cool experience, with reds. I've had plenty of others with Sika deer. I spent a big part of probably the late 90s going up north into the Kawekas and Kaimana with a good bunch of guys up there, and we would fly camp after Sika, and we'd just head off down big river valleys and that. Heli Sika would fly us in, and we'd just get off on the tops, and then we'd spend a week going down these big valleys, just camping, fly camping here and there, chasing Sika deer, and I really loved hunting those deer. They were amazing. So I managed to get a couple of good stags over the course of a few years, but the memories of those trips were something else. They were great. And
isn't it great that time you get to spend with your children? And that's a repeating theme we talk about with hunters, particularly those with children, is that some of the best bonding and memorable moments they have with their sons and daughters is out doing exactly what you just talked about.
Well, that's exactly it. I didn't have that when I was younger. And our kids have certainly grown up with that. Whether they probably didn't have much choice, but they enjoy it. I mean, we're out in a rural setting, we're out in the great outdoors of New Zealand, and it's what is wrong with that? We're hunting and fishing and just enjoying it. It's great.
And I think all hunters out there will have that same appreciation when you're out in that environment. If it's with your children or with just a great mate, there's something just right about that, isn't there?
Well, there is, and I think we're privileged here in New Zealand to be able to do that. That's pretty special, and it's I see it now a lot through the magazine, and that fathers and daughters, fathers and sons, groups of kids, some really cool people in areas of New Zealand who will basically fill their truck with kids and take them hunting. That's great.
And gosh, you could do a lot worse by children, couldn't you?
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Now, Matt, you've got a DVD coming out. We alluded to it at the start. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to see.
Well, what we've got on that, what happened is we started a little production company. A guy got in touch with me and he said, look, I reckon we could do a bit of filming with you guys, and we might be able to put something out, and certainly DVDs and perhaps even a TV show in time to come. So we're pursuing this pretty good, and I had a bit of old footage because I ran around with the old handy cam back in the day, and I said, look, I've got a bit of old footage here, what do you reckon? And he said, well, we might as well edit it up, some of it's pretty good, and we started doing that with a straight-out pig hunting DVD, which we put out, and it's going very well. But while we were doing that, I kept coming across bow hunting footage, more bow hunting footage, and it wasn't of pigs. So it was deer and things like that. So we thought, look, why don't we put together a bow hunting DVD? And with a few friends helping out, supplying a little bit of footage in that, we just put together what we consider sort of the most comprehensive bow hunting DVD in New Zealand, where we've chasing everything from deer to to small game, different species of deer, and even our black bears are on there, in fact. But it came together pretty well. We put a lot of work in, but it's like a first, It's not, it's a bit rough around the edges, perhaps for some. We're very proud of it. It's been received incredibly well. And effectively what we're doing now is running around now with really good cameras and trying to get that magic footage to follow it up with a really, really professional bow hunting DVD.
And if I wanted a copy of this DVD, where would I find it?
You can find it in most hunting and fishing stores throughout New Zealand. And if they haven't got it, they know where to get it. So you can just ask at the counter generally at most hunting and fishing stores right throughout New Zealand, or you can pick up a copy online at www.hookedonboars.com.
And I will put that link in that same famous comment section of this podcast. Matt, you've been a great interview. Thank you so much for giving up a good 25 minutes of your time.
Hey, look, no problem, Steve. I could have gone on for hours about bow hunting.
Oh, and I would have listened. That's been great. I'm definitely going to pick up that DVD and have a look at that black bear footage. And, the great thing by the sounds of it, I think all hunters kind of appreciate what they see. So even guys like me that aren't into bow hunting, I'll watch it, I'll thoroughly enjoy it, and I promise you I'll send you an email with my thoughts.
Absolutely. No, appreciate that, mate. No problem.
We've also got to mention, now that interview's over, we've got our great Gerber promotion still going on. We've had our first winner, and all you need to do to be in the draw to win that great Gerber knife and multi-tool is be active. So that's on the forums, that's on our website, that's giving us feedback on email. In fact, all you really need to do is kind of join in with the group. That's us for another week. Good hunting.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told the guy who told him. It's a show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Find The Hunting Show on Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information on upcoming shows and topics.